Yes. Now let's get back home and I take you to, we cross over live to the KICC, where the Department for National Human Resource Planning and Development under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection is releasing reports on training in local institutions. And our reporter Brenda Kerubo joins us live from the KICC. Brenda, good morning. Kindly bring us up to date with what is, making the headlines at the KICC and what we expect from the Ministry of Labour.
Brenda, thank you so much and good morning. Of course, the report does focus on the fact that, training does happen in private and also public institutions. Of course, we are getting findings from a report that was actually commissioned back in April 2017 and it was validated in May 2018. Now, some of the key findings from this report indicates the fact that business administration, architecture and engineering continue to be the preferred programs when it comes to trainees and picking courses. However, a key note to also point out is the fact that most of these programs are highly dominated by males. Females also shine from these programs, but the females are also embracing courses such as the medical. When it comes to the Big Four agenda and what are some of the skills that are available for this category when it comes to manufacturing, well, we see the performance is somewhat flat. We're having more engineers coming on board. When you're looking at the universal healthcare coverage, we're talking about more doctors and more people taking up courses such as medical, albeit in the veterinary services, we're seeing a very poor performance. When it comes to food security, agriculture, livestock and fisheries are somewhat not such an upbeat report coming from that category. But to give me more insights in relation to this, I'm now joined by Catherine Waema. She is the National Human Resource Planning and Development Representative. Thank you so much for joining us. What else can we expect from this report?
Thank you very much. As you have rightly put it, this was a report that covered training institutions in the entire country, both private and public, from universities all the way to vocational rehabilitation centers and commercial colleges. We actually covered 14 types of training institutions throughout the entire country. Now, this survey has important findings, especially in relation to, facilitating a balance between labor supply and labor demand. As you can well see, this is a survey that covered the supply side of the labor market with a view to, looking at skills generation over the period of review and to use the data collected to come up with a report that is aimed at setting off intervention measures to address the issues covered. So, as you have said, the report focused on, the performance of male versus female. It also looked at programs that had, higher outturns than others, those that are doing poorly. One very peculiar finding was some similarity between what was reported during National Manpower Survey of 2010-2011 in regard to male and female parity. In that report, it was reported that the parity was poor. Males were dominant in the labor market. And you can see that even in this report, the females are not, at par with the males in most of the cases. Even in programs that they're featuring prominently, like manufacturing, the turnout, the outturns are not as high as in those programs where males feature. So, in spite of a number of interventions that have taken place, I think we still have some work to do there as a country. But also, I think we also need males in manufacturing. We don't understand why they are not taking a lot of interest in that. And also, we found that outstands in some of the middle-level skills that this country requires, like plumbers, etc., is not so encouraging. Another similarity that we came across is, as you have rightly said, the big four. Outstands in veterinary, livestock, agriculture, we are not so encouraging, and this being, agriculture and health being among the big four, I think something needs to be done. So that is about the outstands report, because we are talking about two reports now here. The second report was staffing, and we sought to find out, staffing levels in our training institutions, and we were able to establish that there are some institutions that are doing relatively well, and the others that are, severely hit, especially the vocational training centers. We found that they have serious staffing issues. And for universities, the picture we got was that they have no problem, but there's some contradiction there, because during the stakeholders workshop, it came out very clearly that there was a rapid expansion of our universities from 40 to 70 without commensurate increase in lecturer numbers. So what is happening is that universities are mainly using part-timers, struggling for the few resources amongst them. So it was difficult to tell where universities have skill gaps, because they say, okay, where we have skill gaps, we employ part-time. So these are the same people who run across all the universities, and therefore it was difficult to establish, staffing levels, the real staffing levels in our universities.
There are quite a number of issues that you've raised over there. There are also concerns, like you said, the gender equation. Why are we having not so many females taking up these technical courses?
Well, technical courses seem to have a problem across the board, actually. And during the stakeholders workshop, which we held at the Pan-Afric on 30th May, concerns were raised that these technical areas are not attracting the youth as we expect. Not just ladies, but even males. People want degrees and diplomas, yet these practical skills are what the economy depends on. We wouldn't be having problems with welders in the SGR, for example, if we had production of this kind of skills from our training institution. So it was generally agreed during the workshop that there is need for a number of intervention measures. One of them would be career counseling, so that the youth stop viewing at these courses as if they are courses for failures, but courses that this country needs, courses that the economy requires, and courses that, can generate employment. Because when everybody does business administration, for example, then there's a surplus of supply in that skill. But for technical skills, we still have a lot of room. Another suggestion that was made was maybe to give some incentives to the private sector. So that they can help the government produce these skills, and then also
Catherine, we have to cut you short because, the event is starting right now. But thank you so much. Great insights. We have been speaking to Catherine Wayama. She is the Directorate at the National Human Resource Planning and Development. Of course, she was just giving us a snapshot of the report that has just come out when it comes to training in the private and public institutions. She also gave recommendations on the fact that, it was too much for institutions such as the universities to quickly convert, for technical institutions to quickly convert into universities, and at the same time looking forward into introducing incentives so that more trainees can take up these courses, such as availability of help when it comes to vocational training institutions. I mean, Brenda, these are just some of the key highlights and key discussions that we'll be having in the next 1 or 2 hours, even as we dissect on the fact that just what are the percentage of skills that are actually available for the labor market.